Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Luigi here, and I am from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as you probably expect at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo GameCube / Nintendo 3DS as a remake. Mind you, we are still playing the superior version, which is of course the Nintendo GameCube version, but that's besides the point. So, last time, we've essentially did manage able to get started with Area 2 by exploring some multitude of rooms here and there, and also we did somehow capture some more portrait ghosts, specifically the dancing couple, as we currently capturing that ever since the journey forms within the ballroom, and also we've pretty much discovered there is actually not only one, but a whole bunch of booths that we do need to capture, including by the forms of the main antagonist in this entire game, and same applies with Luigi's Mansion 2 and 3, which is actually the introduction to King Boo, which as a result, we'll pretty much gonna have to bump into him at some point later down the road. So because of that though, speaking of capturing certain booths, we did somehow manage able to capture about 11 of them. So yeah, that seems quite a lot. So even though that's not much else explanations for the sake of time. And also, we somehow managed able to bump into not only for the sake of the forms of the fire elements that we can able to actually now utilize fire stuff, but also it's about the fact that we did collect some more collectibles for the sake of the forms of not only certain gold mouse, and especially noticeable with, of course, some more speedy spirits. So, anywho though, today for this video is about for the fact that we're most able to say this right now, we can pretty much guarantee we can able to actually finish up everything for Area 2 completely by simply able to actually capture some more portrait ghosts, and especially noticeable we can pretty much guarantee we can able to still hunt for, not only for the sake of the forms of more gold mouse, but also with the forms of some speedy spirits here and there. So I think, relatively speaking though, is this about the fact that once we get towards the end portion of Area 2, that actually I'll explain more details on that in a moment, because we'll use the fire element on this particular portrait ghost right here, which does manage able to hold certain candles, as you can tell, and basically if you lit up those candles for him, basically though, I think something tells me we need to backtrack to Butler's room, because obviously that's essentially what we're going to be hitting off to next. So, now as a result for that particular matter though, technically speaking though, is that we've already been into Butler's room before. It's just no matter what though, it's just about the fact that we need able to go back there again, just in case we can able to take care of the forms of this portrait ghost, known as Shivers, as far as I can definitely notice from the sake of the forms of the actual ghost's name. So even though, yeah, he's pretty simple when you're trying to able to take him on though, especially once he starts sitting down, and when his heart shows up, it's your chance to suck him up. So because of that though, although I was originally trying to able to scan those specific hearts for, you know, Shivers right here, but unfortunately though, I just couldn't be bothered, especially because I did have the actual description for it though, like specifically if you're trying to able to scan his heart, before you lit up those candles, and he did say this, he did say, a beautiful melody will not even give me the time of day. What must I do to win her? Passion? Yes, that's it. I will show her I burn for her. My unbridled passion will scorch her soul. But if you do manage able to lit up the candles while doing so, then he did say a different line, like he did say the burning flames of unbridled passion, or wait, how about a passionate flames of unbridled burning? Okay, that's what he has to say for this point right there. So, even though, originally though, I was gonna able to double check on the forms of the biography for that particular Shivers ghost, as we did somehow captured with, but I think I'll pretty much got to do that once we move on to the next area, as far as I'm usually concerned with this stuff. Although, mind you, apart from the fact that it's been about 5 days ago, roughly speaking, since I actually have last played this game for sure, because obviously you probably already know that Sonic is still playing through Sonic Frontiers, of course, and as a result, recently we've actually come across onto ourselves a brand new character that's going to be introduced into the Maxi Toys as for now, and that's what appears to be Coco Bandicoot, which, if you probably already know what Coco Bandicoot was. She is basically Crash Bandicoot's sister. So as a result, yeah, you probably get the idea if you ever played Crash Bandicoot games before. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So, anyways, here we go on to the conservatory, which is filled to the brim with a lot of musical instruments that we can able to interact with, and as a result, once you do manage able to activate every single musical instrument, with only one exception in particular, which appears to be the piano, basically though, we can able to actually trigger the next portrait ghost that we can able to take her on. And that's what appears to be known as Melody, not to be confused as Melody from The Little Mermaid 2, The Return to the Sea, which, by the way, that film, while looking back on it though, it feels pretty rubbish, I will admit that right away, due to, well, let's just say the animation is nowhere near as great as the originals though, but, relatively speaking though, it does have some bit of emotion here and there, unlike the live-action version of it, but that's besides the point. And then anyway, once you're able to realize that it's water, because I do recognize that particular theme from the original Super Mario Bros. Game. So sometimes the questions are really random at one form or another. So for instance, it's about the fact that you need to able to answer the correct answers. So sometimes though, it does manage to able to reference other past games, like for instance with, you know, Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, and all that stuff. And as you can tell, it's just about the fact, no matter what though, is that I think there is only like 2 questions you can only ask for, likely also for the underwater music from Super Mario Bros. And the athletic music from Super Mario Bros. 3, as far as I can usually concerned with that stuff. So, but even then, so yeah, that takes care of Melody right here. And if you managed able to scan in that particular heart, that she did say, by default, she did say, this record muffin looks as if he couldn't play a note. And if you do manage able to scan her heart while attacking, that she did say, show him the power of genius, my music sheets. So, yeah, basically you have to able to get rid of those music sheets before you're able to actually take her on, just in case you don't able to get hit so many times. And luckily though, I think I managed able to come across into a gold frame run of Melody, because I almost assume I'm almost gonna get myself screwed over at first, because I almost first thought I was gonna able to take her health away, but luckily though, I did somehow manage able to stop at 100 to be exact, and as a result, whenever I was trying to able to suck her up for the second attempt, that way, it should allow me to able to actually do a continuous health drainage for Melody anyway, so that should be pretty swell, I might add. So, anyways, let's go ahead and save our game quickly, because something tells me the next room we're going to be entering into, not only does it contain the gold mouse, but also the speedy spirit, which not only that could be also applied to another room as well. So yeah, there's going to be a whole bunch of the forms of those speedy spirits and gold mouse as well. So keep this in mind though, it's just a way of how the fact that we always have to able to keep an eye on them both before we really want to get even richer. So I believe if you managed able to play the 3DS version, specifically the second playthrough of the game, I believe the I would say the gold mouse and the speedy spirit, mind you, I believe they're on both different locations or anything else like that. Mind you, it's been a very long while since I actually have last played the 3DS version of the original Luigi's Mansion, because again, the controls are not as precise as I've hoped, but either way, let's scan the cheese underneath the chair, and this what actually brings yet another gold mouse. So, there we go, that should be all pretty swell. But that doesn't end off here, because like I said before, there's going to be a speedy spirit in here. And why is that? Well, as soon as we get rid of every single banana peels from left and right, well, there he is right here. So in some cases though, we'll go ahead and suck him up, and that way we should be able to get ourselves a next gem, which appears to be an emerald. So that should be all pretty swell. So yeah, a few things I want to talk about this is that recently today's date, of course, here is the 10th of October today, in some cases in 2023 today, and for those of you other bronies who are able to actually listen to this particular conversation, well, suffice to say, happy 13th anniversary of the show's release of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. So, yeah, I can't believe it's been about 13 years ago since that amazing show first came out. Mind you, the first impressions is a bit mixed, when it first came out, but the later seasons has to come that it decides able to improve upon in almost every single way imaginable. Even though there are some few exceptions here and there, like the also for certain episodes doesn't seem to work, like non-compete clause, and especially noticeable with the forms of Yakuta's sax or something like that, as well as certain episodes that just seems kind of feels a bit mediocre or bad, like the Mysterious may do well, and especially noticeable with certain other episodes I could possibly think about on top of my head. But while looking back on it though, I still managed able to enjoy, you know, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Especially to me though, that is by far the most superior My Little Pony show I've ever seen, which I will admit though right away, I'm not a big fan of G5 stuff as much as the Falls of the Next Guy, I must be quite honest here, especially because there was a lack of action here and there. Although I totally get it because of the forms of this is the first time ever they able to actually do a 3D CGI pony shows for the first time, so I was expecting to able to give that credits due, but I will admit though, I think it's kind of disappoints me, so because of that, so yeah, here we go on to the next ghost that we're about to take on, and in fact, no matter what though, this particular ghost right here is the optional ghost, which, specifically though, if you really want to go for a true 100% experience, well, by all means, you can able to actually take him on. So, for instance, this guy's name is Mr. Lux, so as a result, he was really hungry, if you couldn't tell. And basically though, all you have to do in that particular portion right there, as you saw for about a few moments ago, we need to lit up every single candles on the table, and once you've done so, then Mr. Lux do show up. And then once you're done with that, you have to suck up the entire meal out of his plate, and then once you're done with that, then you can able to actually take him on while simply dodging his attacks, and then once he's become exhausted, obviously it's your chance to able to demolish his health away. So, assuming of course apart from the fact that until in some form or another, that getting those gold frames might be a little bit difficult later on, mainly because of one thing, and that's of course the poison mushroom spawnage. So, yeah, you can definitely know what I'm truly trying to talk about here, especially because once we get to the later portrait ghost that we're about to deal with right there, then it'll get pretty ridiculous when it comes to likely come across into poison mushrooms most of the time, when it comes to like dealing with more portrait ghosts, like I said before. But then again though, we'll pretty much have to save that particular topic once we get to on the usual Tuesdays and Thursdays. Well, apart from one in particular exception to that, that's what appears to be is about the fact that as soon as we get to next week, there might be an uploading schedule change once again. So as a result, because of the forms of how to factor until next week, that Sonic Superstars is about to be releasing until next week. So, yeah, time flies, you know. And in addition to that, we've only got about exactly 10 days left until the Super Mario Bros. Wonder for the Nintendo Switch will be releasing. So, still I'm very excited with the forms of those upcoming 2D titles. So yeah, you probably already know what I was expecting to talk about this. So, anyways though, so we pretty much saved the game because now we're going to be moving on to the next room, which fundamentally, it also features not only the gold mouse, but also with the speedy spirit as well. So, yeah, that's what I can say about it. Okay, quick error right there. For those of you probably wondering, how come my fire gauge did somehow manage able to get fully back up again? Well, long story short though, I unfortunately though stumbled across into a power cut, which as a result, this means about the fact that luckily I did manage able to save my game of course, so as a result, that way it gives my perfect opportunity, so that way I can able to actually resume my point. So, anyway, there's the Speedy Spirit right here, so, and it does manage to contain a Sapphire, so that should be all pretty swell. Now, I believe the gold mouse, it will be pretty much random, assuming, of course, if we do manage able to bump into him. But there's actually a strategy to this, though, is that as soon as you're able to actually go back to the previous room, by the way, don't complete this until you've realized you come across into the gold mouse, because otherwise, if you let the room entirely get light up back up, then you might be able to miss your chance. Assuming, of course, there is actually another way, you can able to actually get that gold mouse until for later. So speaking of such, there's the jingle. So as a result, this means the gold mouse has appeared. So in some cases, we get ourselves an emerald. So seems that we're about to be getting a lot of emeralds for the sake of time when it comes to one of those gems in particular, so... Anyways, those, here we are in the forms within the kitchen, so as a result that I think there was only one ghost we're about to take on, not counting the forms of the Speedy Spirit, if you want able to get even richer. Basically though, it's a good thing we did somehow manage to bring out the fire element with us, because as soon as we're able to actually activate the fridge, it needs to be opened, and as a result, despite the fact that I've almost got distracted by the forms of those godforsaken saucepans, so yeah, use the fire element right onto this ice element ghost, so just in case it will be easily be meltable, and as a result, we can now able to take him on. So beneath an endo, that pretty much takes care of the forms of that specific ghost, and from here we can able to actually open up this big blue chest, which contains a water medal, so... because it's all blue and everything. So, yes, I do know there's actually a boo in here somewhere, but hopefully we're able to take him on as soon as we're able to actually continue our progressioning here. So, oh, and also, something's worth noting for as well, is that speaking of something related to My Little Pony stuff, did you know, for those of you are the mobile experts out there, even with the smartphones included, there's actually a grand total of 12 My Little Pony games ever being released on mobile smartphone devices, which as a result, it does manage to contain some of these games based off from the majority of G4, and maybe 3 for the sake of the forms of G5. So yeah, that's as far as I can usually talk about that, even though mind you, I will able to actually let Sonic be able to mention more about it, once he's going to go back onto Sonic Frontiers at some point until tomorrow, so... But anywho though, there's also another thing I should probably talk about this as well, I guess, is that, well, potentially speaking though, is that like what Sonic has already mentioned about this before, I kind of believe it's like, well, it's insane that The Simpsons is now onto the 35th season right now, season 35, most notably. So, but even then, though, that's insane for the most part. Even though it's a shame that both, I would say, season 34 and, of course, season 35 has never been released on Disney Plus just yet. Maybe they will do in the future, but I don't know exactly for surely just yet. So, oh, and by the way, as you can tell, since we're now able to actually utilize the water element, so that means we can now able to actually water certain things. Like, as you saw, we did somehow water that particular plant over there. And by the way, not only do we have to do this once, but we have to do this for about 3 times. For one of the grand rewards you can probably be able to get, especially concerning for that particular point, that you can only water this thing for 1 time in Area 2, but also you have to water this thing for another time until specifically in Area 3, and then one last time until in the final area, which is of course Area 4. Once you successfully try to able to pull that off, well, basically you get yourselves a nice little reward, which I'm probably not going to spoil things too much, because obviously apart from the fact that it will be pretty recommendable though, especially if you miss 1 time, then you're probably not going to get that grand reward. So, anyways though, so let's go ahead and deal with this next portrait ghost. But, before we do anything, bad doggy, bad doggy. Anyways though, so yeah, we need to able to take care of this skeleton-like ghost first, so just in case as soon as we're able to get rid of him, and obviously the actual part of the bone will start to able to go ahead and crash land it into the actual grass below, as you can tell, and from here we can now able to get a chance to able to suck this ghost dog out of it. So, although it does have his name, by the way, his name was Spooky, not to be confused as the spooky villain from Pac-Man World 2, except it's a dog rather than just the actual demon. So, anyways though, so we'll just go ahead and suck him up, and sure enough, we're able to get ourselves a nice, glorious gold frame once again. So, seems like we're not doing too shabby for the most part when it comes to Area 2 in mind. Now, some people seem to say that Mr. Lux, when it comes to likely getting a gold frame, is actually very tricky, especially because the actual arena itself, when it comes to taking him on, it just feels a bit cramped around here. Although nothing even compared to the forms of how it does on the later ghosts to come, especially for Area 3, as well as Area 4, and you probably already know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, before we finish up everything for Area 2, we need to backtrack for a bit, because we're about to head back over to some spots of Area 1, not only we can able to actually finally get some more money for the sake of the forms of checking out certain furnitures and stuff like that, but also is that since we've able to actually get ourselves the water element, so that means we can able to water certain plants. So yeah, it's very important to do this though, especially because if you really want to get the best results, especially, not only does it contain certain more money, but also, get this, is that you get one of the gems. Like as you saw, we're able to actually obtain the sapphire, so yeah, nicely done. So yeah, you get the idea of how I was expecting to able to mention something like this for the sake of time, so... And also, if you couldn't tell already, this is my second attempt for this recording session. Nothing to do with the actual capture footage or anything else like that, because it's actually a little bit more stable. Whilst unlike in Sonic Frontiers currently, that Sonic do definitely need able to fix that problem for the sake of the forms of not so much glitch fest for our capture card recording. So, but even then no, and it's also worth noting for is that during the actual commentary parts is that, my god, on my first attempt it feels rather awkward. Especially because there's not much else explanation I can probably able to discuss upon for this point, for that particular point. And in addition to that though, it's just about the fact that sometimes I'm just felt a little bit too tired. So, yeah, you probably get the idea. It's never good if you actually become extremely tired or extremely sleepy, so... But anyways though, let's go back into the master bedroom to water this plant here to get an emerald. So, if I was trying to able to grab it, so... Come on, grab it. There we go. Oh man, sometimes it takes a bit of a while to able to pick something up, and also there might be some bit of frame drops here and there, but regardless of such though, we actually got quite a lot of stuff, so yeah, looking good so far. Oh, and also, short things worth noting for is that for those of you who lived in Japan, the game is actually called Luigi Mansion, so it doesn't seem to able to include the S letter or anything else like that, so it just literally calls it Luigi Mansion 2, or just generally Luigi Mansion. So I keep thinking about the forms of in Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon's Japanese title. Well, mind you, again, it's been about 5 days ago since I've last played this, so... But hopefully by that time until next week, that obviously I will be doing some more uploading schedules on Luigi's Mansion for the time being. Not just because of the forms of how the fact that Sonic definitely needs to get some bit of practice for Sonic Frontiers, the Final Horizon DLC updates for the Switch version, but also it's about the fact that, as I mentioned this before, we've only got 1 week left until Sonic Superstars will be releasing on multiple platforms. So this means includes the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, as well as Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and of course Nintendo Switch as well. So, and also as I said this before, we've only just got about 10 more days to go until the Super Mario Bros. Wonder is about to be releasing. But not just that, Spider-Man 2 is also going to be able to be its release until also in 10 days time. So, yeah, time flies, you know, especially after playing a lot of games recently. And even in some cases though, I did somehow manage to able to re-watch the Super Mario Bros. Movie on my own time, because seriously, I just really love that movie so much. Especially, it's way up there, and on top of that, way more better than the forms of how it does on this very, rubbish 1993 live-action movie, which you probably already know. So anyways though, before we're able to actually continue things on the other hand, we need to take care of these guys right here, before we're able to realize that as soon as we get rid of all of those skeleton-like ghosts, well, this grave... this little stone right there just somehow decided able to glow, so I suppose we're more able to walk straight towards it, which I think, fundamentally speaking though, this will lead us to the next boss fight, so... Okay, so here we go on to Area 2 boss, and that's what appears to be by the forms of Bokemare. So Bokemare is pretty easy, assuming of course about for the fact that you need to able to be very careful with the actual movements, because as you can tell, that he spawns in the black counterparts, or to be more specifically, those goopy-like counterparts of Bokemare. So as a result, all you have to do is basically we need to suck up the actual black things, as you can tell, and basically just trying to able to send a black thing right back at the forms of Bokemare himself, despite the fact I just got hit. But that's okay, because obviously I've still got 90 health left, so that should be okay for the most part, especially I might as well still guaranteed able to get myself my glorious gold frame. But I will say that this is easily the best boss fight in the game in my opinion, especially because not only it feels a little bit more intense and serious for its music department, but it's also, I really love the aesthetics about this particular arena itself. So, but even then though, yeah, you get able to do is ramps and repeats, and then obviously it's just about the fact that much like the forms of how it does it for Junsei, there is no guarantee we can able to actually just do an instant win or anything else like that. You have to able to just, well, take a knockback and then just try to move on to the next phase. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and finish him off, and sure enough, Area 2 is completely done. Huzzah! Man, I love the victory fanfare. Even though it kind of ruins it on the 3DS version to me though, just because of the loading screens just feels a bit, I don't know, lengthy in my opinion, but even then, let's go and obtain the key, which obviously based off from the actual shape, it's pretty much the shape of a club, so at least as far as I'm concerned, because we've already experienced the heart key, and now we've come across into a club key. So, I mean, what's next? We've also come across into a diamond key and a spade key. Well, that can be only been for one thing in mind, because, well, obviously it does kind of reminds me of one of those suit cards that you're able to get, or specifically the pieces of suits, from the likes of whenever I was playing Boom Street on my own time, or specifically Fortune Street for those of you who lived in America, so. And I think, relatively speaking though, we will guarantee able to get ourselves the nice good old gold frames with every single portrait ghosts in Area 2, so. But again, there's only one optional fight in Journey forms within Area 2, but there's more to came from for the later areas, from Area 3 and Area 4. But I think relatively speaking though, we actually now onto the halfway point in Luigi's Mansion, of course. So yeah, that's something. Although then again, I would have liked able to read up on the forms of those specific biography for most of those ghosts, but I'll do the actual reading skills on my own time, or potentially speaking though, I'm also do them until, presumably speaking until on next Monday, if possible. So, especially because like I said before, that, you know, Sonic Superstars is just around the corner for its release, and I'm sure most of you out there will be pretty excited able to actually just to get not only Sonic Superstars until next week, but also Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Spider-Man 2. So it's pretty insane whenever those games do manage to come out during exactly the same week as each other. Well, the only difference has been is what day is about to be releasing on. So anyways though, so let's have a look at the tally results of our cash department. So it looks like we actually got quite a few gems here and there, and especially noticeable with certain diamonds as far as I'm concerned with. So yeah, it seems that we actually got some pretty good progression so far. So yeah, 15 boos that we somehow captured so far. So I think we did somehow capture for about 4 boos in particular. So for the sake of the forms of you know, for this particular video anyway. So, but even then no. But for now, let's take a look at the forms of those 2 specific portrait ghosts that we did somehow capture. Like, as you can see, we actually come across to Spooky right here. Although he was roughly about, I would say, 4 years old, which is pretty young, all things considered. Even though, mind you, he was a dog. So, yeah, nothing else to say about this. Even though Bokemare did somehow not mention about the forms of the age, you know, of how old he is. because it did say question mark, question mark, question mark. So it's very similar to the dancing couple as well. So, but even then, no. Again, I wasn't able to actually read those specific descriptions in a later time. But for now, I think we're most able to end things off here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Luigi's Mansion for the Nintendo GameCube/Nintendo 3DS remake. Instead, we're about to get started with Area 3, which means we're now on to the halfway point in the game. So, yeah, see you guys then. Later, fellas.